What's up, everybody? It's your girl Lulu Lev here from Team J Song, here to present market news and updates. So really the question is, where are we now and where are we going? Because it seems like we're running up to this blow off top that happens at this time of the cycle. But unlike previous cycles, there's a lot going on and kind of a lot of global unrest and uncertainty in various markets. So I want to jump right into what's going on right now, today, to kind of raise some questions and give us an idea of maybe where are we going? What's next? What's tomorrow like? What's the rest of this month like? And when can we expect the ROI that we've all been waiting for? So before I really dive into what's going on today, I need to back you up really quick to what's been going on with, let me see. I want to make sure I'm sharing my screen. Oh, okay. I think this is it. I just became really, really, really small. Okay. And then I think I'm just gonna pop this up. Watch, and I think I'm just recording right now. So you see my screen, we're all good. So I'm backing you up to what's been going on in the housing market in China and how that might play into crypto right now. So this was written a while back and it's titled as Evergrande Crisis Pushing Bitcoin Tether Markets on the Verge of Chaos. So as you all know, Evergrande started to cause some unease and unrest in the global economy because they had $300 billion worth of liabilities in upcoming bonds. And at the end of last month, they stopped being able to pay their bonds. They stopped paying their bonds. And most of them, it was even just interest rates on their bonds. Most of them are offshore bonds, meaning that China can't hide it from the world. And that a lot of other markets are tied into just this one company, okay? But after they missed two of their payments, had another Chinese property developer miss a $206 million repayment deadline, and that was at the end of last week. It's not as big as Evergrande, but it's still uneasy. This week, we have yet another Chinese real estate developer struggling to pay its debts. Now, this one hasn't missed any payments yet, but it has asked for an extension on a $250 million bond that's coming at the end of October. So in their request for a deadline extension, they're already talking about payment default. Now, if that doesn't bring unease, I don't know really what could, because it seems like there's a huge problem going on in China. And with all of these bonds that are missing their payments, I don't know, what's that going to do to the rest of the markets? I mean, this is our blow off top time, right? And so, but how does this play into the crypto market? So Tether's assets have been under scrutiny in recent days, and they published a report last month that showed 50% of their assets are commercial papers, really just IOUs from various countries. Tether came out to say they do not hold any commercial papers or other debts or securities issued by Evergrande and never have. But recently, more scrutiny has come to Tether because nobody can seem to validate the $69 billion reserve. Now, they might not have Evergrande commercial papers, but as we see, there's many companies that might be going down with Evergrande. So that's something that we're going to keep an eye on. Shifting now to other news, Goldman Sachs downgrades U.S. economic growth. So they're believing that the U.S. economy isn't just in this temporary inflation, that there's might actually be a real problem in the economic growth of the United States. And they're citing raising oil prices and heating oil prices, as well as the not so great 194,000 jobs created last month, in September, when they were expecting 500,000 jobs to be created. So it's not looking like there's a lot of growth, which really brings the question, if there's not growth, can there be a bull run blow off top at this same exact time while all of this is going on? Let's dive into the raising gas prices really quick, because it seems to be an actual problem. Sky is the limit for heating oil prices amid global energy crunch. And we've seen that across the globe. There's been countries that have recently had power outages across whole countries, whole cities, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. All right, so energy crisis may trigger winter blackouts across the United States. I mean, some places in the States get really, really cold, and they've said they've actually had to discuss with power utilities who are concerned that they simply will have to implement blackouts this winter. Now, I don't know if everybody here is familiar with what happened in Texas last year, or this past winter, where they had a shock freeze and a shock snowstorm, and the Texas power grid wasn't able to provide enough power for all of the houses. Now, when there's a blackout during winter times, especially if it's in cold, snow, freezing weather, it doesn't just affect people being cold. That's going to blow water lines. That's going to flood houses. That would cause so much damage if people aren't ready for that. So this doesn't sound too good, right? Here we see Lebanon just restored their power after a complete halt because they were running out of, they had an energy supply shortage. Looks like they're back on the grid. I mean, just going over more, there's energy crisis is gripping the world with potential grave consequences. I mean, look at these headlines. Obviously, they're like rooted in fear, but it goes on to talk about the rising price of gasoline. Now, when gasoline prices raise, then that's going to raise all of the prices in the grocery store as well. And this is a pretty big increase. All right, so are we going to see more and more consumer cost price raising? I do believe so, at least in the short term. And to further add to the growing price concern, we have backup of cargo ships where there is, this was written, let's see, a couple of days ago, and they said over 60 cargo ships floating offshore. But I've watched some people in Long Beach who think that there's closer to 90 ships waiting to be unloaded in Long Beach, California. I live here in Oakland, and there's massive amounts of ships waiting in the bay, waiting to be unloaded as well. So really it goes back to, is this current economic situation suitable for a bull run blow off top this month? Or is it going to be opportunity to buy a dip? Let's see, there's truck driver shortages, which further adds to the inability to unload cargo. Now I'm going to bring you back to, this was February, March of 2020. This is the S&P 500 index, and this is on a weekly candlestick. You see that there is a steep drop here, and when S&P 500 dipped, we also saw a dip in Bitcoin. Now, I know that crypto markets, they tend to be more volatile, but they were very synchronized when they dropped. So the question is, if our market today is a little bit unstable, is this the time for a decoupling? Which it might be. Or something that's similar to 2020 going to happen, where if one drops, the other drops just as well. Now, in other interesting news, there has been a moderate geomagnetic storm watch extended, which was issued today, October 11th, and extended into October 12th. What does this mean? I don't know. You have headlines that will tell you all kinds of things. So here we have huge solar storm hitting Earth today could cause massive disruption of power grids and satellite agency warns. Sounds pretty detrimental, right? And they even go on to say storms like this happen once every 100 years and could plunge the world into an internet apocalypse. Wow. Wow. While you go to the next article and they say, oh, you're just going to see the aurora lights in the United States. Doesn't seem like it's too dramatic here. Seems beautiful, actually. But what's interesting is Binance on Twitter, like this is Binance, this is the Binance Twitter, posted this. Like, do you see this? I don't know if you're hearing it, but there's at the very end there's like some woo cheering going on. So is that a hint of something to come? And then Joel Katz tweeted today, I really want to make a Squid Game joke about watching someone lose their marbles, but I don't want to ruin the show for anyone else with a minor spoiler. Now, Joel Katz is the CTO of Ripple, and I had to Google this, Squid Game jokes, and I haven't seen it. I guess it's a movie. Let's see. And Squid Game is a Netflix series where financially strapped people compete in a tournament of kids' games where the losers get killed. Not very funny, but the show captured the public imagination. So there's been... So is he hinting at something? Does between him and the Binance tweets today, like what's going on? Now, if you are part of J-Song's community, you know that we have some ideas of what we believe is going to happen. And if you're not part of J-Song's Telegram community, join in the link below, because there's a huge discussion on what we think is going to happen in the next day or two, in the next week, in the next 4 weeks, and even up into coming into the next year. And there's some very interesting theories and some very interesting plays at hand. And we believe we're going to be riding the good waves and getting that ROI regardless of what happens. And don't forget to check out J-Song's TA videos that come out on this channel to give updates on USDT, Bitcoin, and XRP. See you later, guys.